the CCP, the United Nations, Council of 13, the Masons, Illuminati, Royal Order of Jesters, Skull and Bones, and the Gates and Rockefeller Foundation. Hey, New World Order! We're coming for you, never forgot 9/11, and we studied your moves. We got your blueprints down, now you're bound to lose. And look us in the eyes when we tighten that noose. Snap, America's coming back for vengeance. Pushed us to the fences, this time's offensive. Snake strikes defensive, so tread on that. Our people went off course, we led them back. So united we stand, divided they fall. Just a torso, no legs and arms. Heads on spikes, all globalists gone. It's either that or enslaved with a chip in our arm. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go! Know your enemies.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the America First Warehouse for episode 68 of the Know Your Enemies podcast. I'm James Justice. Stephen Ruth is on vacation. We got Gary McBride, but you know what we're still doing? Fighting! Every day, all day long. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. So, yeah, man. Welcome to the show, Gary.
Thank you, brother.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. So, we have some crazy Epstein news still coming out. It's still drabbing out, and it just gets more gross every single week. And the more investigations we do, the darker this thing gets. And it seems like the cover-up is still going on. So it doesn't make any sense. But now, supposedly, this whole Bitcoin thing is going on, and I did a little research on it. They're trying to say that the email isn't legit, didn't come from the Epstein files, but you have communications between Epstein and Maxwell and other investment firms talking about Bitcoin and how it's going to be a great asset financially for all these groups. And supposedly the Nakatoshi Shimoto, or whatever the hell the guy's name is, some Japanese guy they say that invented Bitcoin, might turn out to be Jeffrey Epstein. And, it's pretty crazy because when you start digging into what Bitcoin is and what the purchasing of it is, it's a lot of deep web,
Does that come
dark
from
web.
his Fortnite link?
Yeah. Yo, so that's another thing. Supposedly,
Fortnite.
this guy's Fortnite account is active and running in Tel Aviv right now in Israel. And
Israel.
He's playing Fortnite in Israel. So I don't know, man. But for him to be the pioneer of Bitcoin, I wouldn't put it past him because there's a lot of dark, shady stuff that goes on with that. And I found a clip of a guy, an old investment guy, talking about it. Let's roll it.
Knew who was really behind Bitcoin. Really behind Bitcoin. You would run as fast as you fucking could to sell it. I know. 100%. If you knew who owned Bitcoin or who started Bitcoin, you had Bitcoin, you couldn't sleep at night. I know. 100%. And when the real founder of Bitcoin comes out, it is my humble opinion, and there's nothing humble about me, Bitcoin will go to fucking zero.
One day.
And a microsecond, whoop, like that.
Gone. So this guy is like, I know who the founder of Bitcoin was, and it's going to go to zero once people find out. And the only thing dark enough to equate with what he's talking about is Jeffrey Epstein and the actions that were going on in the island. And it's disgusting. So as of...
Well, I know our guest coming up, Ryan, can talk a bit about Bitcoin as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, man. So, like, as of January 9th, 2014, Bitcoin was sitting at about $850. And then it blew past over $100,000 per Bitcoin, maybe, was it last year? And those numbers are crazy. That's a lot of money being pumped into it. And now that this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing came out, the market dropped all the way back down to like $63,000 per Bitcoin. So you're talking about a lot of money shaved off the top. It's either the whales of the cryptocurrency are pulling out all of their investments and shifting it over to something else, or the stock is tanking from the regular people that bought into Bitcoin and are now finding out that this stuff is tied to the most sinister, disgusting evil that this planet has to offer. Mm-hmm. It's not good, man. No. Not good. So within these Epstein emails, we had a lot of talk about beef jerky, and we mentioned that on the last podcast. But I found a clip of somebody that actually was reading through the emails and can put it into context a little bit better than I can with the short amount of time I have. So let's roll this clip.
It's too bad they eat kids. A small insulated bag would be fine. I don't recommend checking it. No need for crazy amounts of ice. One should do. There is one bag of beef jerky in the fridge. Please get it. Also, Blank has more at her place. Please get it from her as well. I suppose it needs to be in a cold, insulated bag. Just wanted to touch base about jerky. J.E. said he was going to start eating regular food again, so he might be eating less jerky. He said he has 6 bags of it in the downstairs freezer. Why would you freeze jerky? Steve needs a 6 to 8 ounce portion of jerky. I gave you all the jerky we had, and it lasted only half the amount of time it was meant to. I felt like it was more important for you to have the jerky to eat during my time off. My plan is to make a batch before I leave for LSJ, and some of that will go to Steve, and the rest will go to you at LSJ when I arrive. Little St. James Island. And that's what LSJ must mean. So logically, that means that they were doing this off of the island. Steve Hansen is sending jerky to your attention overnight. I believe it should be enough to get him through. Jeffrey Epstein is asking to bring him more jerky. I'm flying in on Friday. I will bring jerky. Is there a time I could come say hi and drop off the beef jerky? And that's from Jeffrey Epstein. Francis has time to come tomorrow. Show me how to make it. Jerky class anyone. He will bring you to taste his new jerky recipe from the restaurant. He sends a warm hello. He's working at a restaurant called guys, the restaurant's called Cannibal and Cooks. Wait for it, beef jerky and steak.
Beef jerky and steak. So all of those messages, they don't seem normal at all. At all. So what everybody is pointing at is that beef jerky could possibly mean human flesh. I mean, it's coming from a restaurant and a chef that is called Cannibal and Cooks. So if these people are eating the victims, and
is this next door to Pizzagate?
Yeah, it's basically the same thing. It leads into the same thing with James Alefantis, with the owner of Comet Ping Pong, and all of these Podesta people and the artwork. And, there's a big club, Lady Gaga's in it, and the rest of these superstars that have their little stars in Hollywood. They're all over this thing, and it's disgusting. Like, when we find out that the people that mainstream America has been idolizing all these years, that they're all tied into these secret society, freak Frankenstein, satanic orders, that, hey, listen, man, we've been trying to warn these people for years and years and years.
I think it's going to be even, if we ever do hear from it, it's going to be worse than what we even imagined.
Yeah.
It's just, there's just no telling.
No, it's crazy. And, the saddest part about it is it ties into with the children, and nobody seems to care. Nobody seems to care. Pull up this next email real quick. So right here, you have an email to Jeffrey Epstein talking about how he missed a party. Pull that up again. You skipped right past it. So right here, you have somebody sending a message to Jeffrey Epstein talking about how he missed a party, and there was a bunch of girls there, but they were 1 year old. A whole bunch of 1-year-olds. Oh, yeah, you missed this crazy party. And this just goes on and on and on in these emails, and it's disgusting. It's disgusting. You can read it for yourself. You can pull the file, the image. Just, they have the Jmail directory now where you can just go in.
I can't even let my mind go there even thinking about it.
Yeah, it's disgusting,
man. It's sick. It is evil.
It's disgusting. And the messed up part is that they've been trafficking these people around through underground tunnels that nobody knows about. Pull up this map real quick. The next asset. So this was a map that was drawn out a while ago. They tried to say it's a conspiracy theory, but it's definitely not a conspiracy theory, because when you start to listen to truckers give testimony saying that, these tunnels run all the way up to Maine, it's kind of proving the point that the map exists.
Generally, a conspiracy is the prelude to the truth.
Exactly. So roll this next clip real quick. This is a trucker talking about how the tunnels are there.
Goes all the way to Washington, D.C., huh? Yeah, you security? Yeah. How far have you actually ran a load? 100 miles? Up to Maine? No shit. How many miles do you think that is? Unbelievable. What do you think you're hauling? Any idea? Yeah, okay. Yeah. I know there's been a lot of military stuff being hauled around lately, that's for sure, huh? Gotcha.
So you can cut that one off and go to the next clip. So this next clip is basically a lady that was on Tucker Carlson that used to work for the military and a defense contractor. And listen what she's got to say.
The underground base and city infrastructure and transportation system that's been built. And
I'm sorry?
Yes. So we have built an extraordinary number of underground bases and supposedly transportation systems. Some of these are documented as part of the national security infrastructure. I think there are many more.
In the United States?
In the United States, and all over the world. From 2021 to 2023, I took one of the smartest subscribers in the Solaire Report network, and he and I spent 2 years collecting all the data and all the allegations on underground bases. We systematically went through and tried to estimate our guess, this is totally a guess, of how many underground bases, both underground in the United States, but also underground under the ocean around the United States. And our estimate was 170 with the transportation network connecting them.
And what would be the purpose?
If you thought you were going to get a near extinction event,
Yo. So this lady worked there and basically saying that there's all these, they're called DUMBs, right? Deep underground military bases. And they've been going on for about, I don't know, 30 to 50 years where they've been digging out these bases. And they don't say anything because it's all under a black budget that they don't have to report to Congress. So, this is probably a major networking system that they're using to traffic all these kids. Because if over 300,000 kids went missing under Joe Biden just off the illegals alone, and the guy we're going to have on, Ryan Mata, is actually mind-blowing when it comes to putting all this stuff together.
Yep.
Because it's just, it will rip your heart out and just throw it down the block when you hear what happened to these children, how they were exploited and the things that were done to them, and just recycled over and over and over and over. And these are like kids ranging from, 6 months old up to like 14. And it's
And I got to say, if
bad,
you're
man.
watching this right now, start sharing it out. Do what you can to get it out. Get ready to hear from Ryan, because it is eye-opening, and it's sad, it's evil, and this guy, man, he's top notch. He knows so much about what's going on, and he puts his life out there.
Yep. And I thought I was good at making documentaries, and this guy just made me feel like a rookie after I watched his material. So when we come back, we're going to play a short trailer, and then we're going to bring him on. Let's go.
Yeah.
You've worked hard and saved, but inflation and increased money supply are eroding your buying power. Protect and grow your wealth with physical gold and silver. Sound Money. With a Sound Money wallet, your wealth stays in your control. Buy fractionally, vault securely, ship directly, and instantly liquidate your gold and silver at the highest buyback price in the industry. Real money, real ownership. Visit tafwsoundmoney.info or scan the QR code and start securing your financial future today.
The America First Ultra MAGA store. For all your MAGA needs. We sell t-shirts, tumblers, flags, hats, sneakers, bumper stickers, and a whole lot more. The most patriotic America First retail store. The America First Ultra MAGA store.
At the America First Warehouse. Live at the America First Warehouse on a Friday, Real America's Voice, all across the country, 103.9 LI News Radio, all across your radio, Suffolk County, Long Island. Glad you're in.
Corporate transfer. Fine professional, moving and storage, and inventory management.
America First Warehouse was really the most patriotic venue that you can ever imagine. We wanted to build something for people to be able to come to and feel so comfortable and so relaxed, because there is nothing out there like it. We give an opportunity for people to really feel good about themselves and about this great country.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Know Your Enemies podcast. So I'm going to play a quick trailer of our next guest and some of his work, and you're just going to be mind blown, and we'll bring him on to talk about it. That's going to be asset number 7. Yep, roll. That should be the one.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
Kamala, where are the children? Kamala, where are the children?
America, what if I told you that the United States federal government was running the largest child trafficking network in the history of the world?
The U.S. has become the middleman in a multi-billion-dollar migrant child trafficking operation at the border.
Experts have told us that these kids are being drugged with Rohypnol to prevent them from telling authorities that these are not my parents. That's why they drug these children, so that these children are able to get trafficked across the border.
And that's what happens when you have these soft immigration policies that are allowing people to come in droves.
Say you're a family, and we'll take your word for it.
So all this happened under Biden.
What you've done to this country?
Still going on now, but
America,
not to the
what if
extent
I
it
told
was.
you that the United States Border Patrol agents would create a public-private partnership with Mexican cartels so they could traffic in unaccompanied alien children into America?
We have people in there that have been bought out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to watch this guy's work. So with that, let's bring on our guest, Ryan Mata. Welcome to the show, brother. Hold on.
Can't hear you.
Audio.
Oh, that's my bad. Hey, what up, gentlemen? Thank you guys so much for bringing me on, and super stoked to be here.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So what got you on this journey, man? You're incredible with these documentaries, and what got you involved in the first place? What started it?
You know, I think it just kind of God chose me for this position, right? Like I got really good into videography and editing and creating content, and I didn't really have a purpose outside of making content on Bitcoin. And then just by the grace of, at one point in 2021, 2022 area, when Trump was still deplatformed from X, I got really good at making short videos on YouTube and breaking the algorithm. So my Trump videos that I was making some short videos because I started to listen to Trump, and I'm like, man, everything they told us about this guy was a lie. You know, I felt like he just got a bad shake at it, right? Like the director of the NSA, the director of the CIA, the director of the DHS, all of the directors of all these agencies, there's kind of like a checks and balance. We're all against Trump, right? So Trump was just surrounded by bad people. He couldn't have seen it come in. So I went all in. And then that got me, I was just making those videos for fun on YouTube. But mainly my main thing was crypto. And somebody reached out to me and asked if I could come down to CPAC to film and create short form content for a company called LFA TV. That same day there, I put out a video of Andrew Tate saying that Bitcoin was a better investment than a house, and it got my YouTube channel demonetized. So while I'm filming at CPAC, I get demonetized at 6:45 p.m. and I walk out the door at 7:03, and Jeremy Harrell offers me a job at LFA TV. My first week on the show comes a whistleblower, comes forward. Carlos Arellano is one of the guys in the trailer you just played there, and he tells me that our government's running the world's largest child trafficking ring, and that there's kidnapped migrants, children in facilities down in Texas. And the story sounded so crazy, I was just like, there's no way, right? But I interviewed him for an hour. My buddy Kyle Seraphin, who's an FBI investigator, interviewed him before me, thought he was legit. Then after the hour interview on LFA TV, I stuck around for another 2 hours and interviewed this guy. And at the very end of the interview, he's like, man, you're looking at me that with a crazy look that everybody does, but I can take you down to Texas and I can take you to these facilities. I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, right now you can take me to a facility where there's kidnapped migrant children who have parents back home who love them and they want to go home. And he's like, yeah. And he was telling me stories about these migrant children because he was the guy that was moving the children from the NGOs to the actual, and to the buyer, whoever was receiving them here in America, which we'll probably unpack here in a minute. So when he would go to the NGO facility to pick up the children, like he'd get a call or he'd get a text message at 3 a.m. And it would say, hey, man, we need you to be here at this time to pick up these kids. You're going to take them to California. And from California, you're going to get a shuttle van. You're going to drive over to Nevada or wherever you're going to take these and transport these kids around. So he would, go to these facilities to pick up the kids. Well, he was there all the time. So some of the kids that were always running around there would see him and they kind of got to know, hey, Carlos, he'd be like waiting there for a couple hours while they got their bags and all their stuff. So he'd just kind of be hanging out with the kids. And so the kids got to know him. And then one day some kids came up to him. It was like 11 or 12-year-old. And he's like, hey, Carlos, can I please borrow your phone? And Carlos is like, well, you got a phone here. Why don't you just use their phone? Well, they won't let me call my mom. Well, why do you want to call your mom? Well, because, she's going to be really mad at me. I went over to Johnny's house and Johnny told me that we could go to America and we get ice cream and PlayStation and video games. And all we had to do was run and get on this bus. So we got on this bus and then that's how we ended up here in America. My mom didn't even know I left home. So I'm like, wait, this is like the stories that this kid was just telling me were one after another. And I'm like, I can go to these facilities where these kids are? No way. So we were the first ones to go down there and break the story. We were the first ones to drone those facilities and show America like, hey, there's tons of these migrant children being housed in Walmarts. They're being housed in, warehouses that they've converted into like a sea of cribs. They have like these makeshift pop-up, basically like the shipping container homes, but they're like the pre-built manufactured homes. And they would just stack them in like row after row after row, like 50 or 100 of these, individual units. And in each unit, you got 8 kids in there. And we were droning and showing the kids being moved because they only move them at certain hours of the day. The kids can't leave those units without a chaperone. So in the morning, all the buses kind of come there and like under the, it's still dark out, 5, 6, right as the sun's kind of just coming up was when they would start moving all the kids. So we were able to go camp out there in one of the RV camps next to one of these facilities and get the drone footage of these children getting moved around by the chaperones, which were eventually going to put them onto a bus, which was eventually going to take them to an airport, which was then going to deliver them to whatever buyer here that would decided to buy them.
Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting. I mean, and a lot of times once these kids enter the interior of the United States undocumented, they're just gone, like vanish, and they're very hard to track.
Yeah, so just off of any child trafficking statistics, there's 2 really dangerous parts of the journey for the child trafficker. The second most dangerous is bringing the merchandise across the border. The first most dangerous is delivering that merchandise to a buyer here in America. Well, our government took over those 2 dangerous roles of the journey for the cartels, which we'll get into in a minute. But once that child is delivered to a buyer here in America, or they enter that child trafficking pipeline, they're going to get delivered to an actual trafficker or a pimp or somebody who's going to pimp them out here in America. There's less than a 1% chance that you're ever going to see that child alive again if you don't get it back within the first 24 to 48 hours. And then after that, you pretty much, after the kid enters that, you pretty much start a time clock on their life, right? It's about, FBI statistics, 18 months. Some other statistics, you give 36 months. So you basically got a 3-year time clock before that child's going to expire because their bodies can't sustain, extended periods of abuse. One of the girls that they rescued, one of the migrant children they rescued, was she was 7 at the time. They rescued her. She was 5 when they took her. She was chained in a dude's basement and she was sexually abused by 7 different individuals almost every day on a daily basis. And at the end of the night, the dude would take her food and he would dump it on the floor. And while she was eating this was the owner, the one that was selling her to all of his friends, would dump a plate of food on the floor. And as she was eating it off the floor, he would sexually abuse her. And then after, he would take a cigarette and he'd put a cigarette butt on her arm every night. So when they rescued her, her arms were solid scars, and they asked why he did that. And he said, well, if you ever rescue her, or if I ever get busted or she ever escapes, I want her to be reminded of how I savagely abused her every time she looks down in her arms. For the rest of that poor girl's life, every time she's going to look at her arms. I mean, there's solid scars. There's no laser. There's no amount of surgery that's going to fix this. This guy sadistically burned her. And he had her for 2 years, so you're probably talking about close to 700 burn marks all on her arm. And not healing and getting put another one burn out, another one burn out, another one burn out. So that's just some of the abuse. And you talk about these kids that get kidnapped, that's just one of 1,000 different stories I could tell you that'll make you vomit. And that's why I say you're watching these politicians, you're watching what Pam Bondi's doing, you're watching what the Trump administration is doing, and it is absolutely disgusting. It's abhorrent. No matter what image, no matter what Epstein file you watch, no matter what sound effect you hear, you can guarantee that the real abuse is 100 times worse than anything that you could imagine. Yeah. I mean, there's no limit that these people aren't willing to go to torture and rape and abuse and they're talking about turning these children into beef jerky. And we're over here like, yeah, we should give Trump a pass. Trump's not in the Epstein files. We should just turn around and look the other way. And it's like, dude, the dude was mentioned in the Epstein files more times than I forgot the analogy. There was a really crazy one. Basically, he's like, Trump's mentioned more times in the Epstein files than like Jesus is mentioned in the Bible.
Yeah,
it's something insane like that.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, we want full accountability.
Yeah.
Like I always say it. Listen, if Trump is somehow he's implicated in
Anybody.
this, I'm turning my back. You know what I mean? Like, but I haven't seen 100% videos or picture evidence. I've seen a whole bunch of statements that were, anonymously submitted to the FBI. I always judge a tree by its fruits. I mean, I don't see, aside from Jared Kushner, who I can't stand. I think he's a total plant in the family for Israel. Aside from him, I really don't see the other kids, acting like Hunter Bidens and smoking crack and going out and having prostitute habits and, all these crazy stuff. But
in Israel, that's where
I think a lot more needs to be done by this administration if we're going to take things serious before the midterms. I mean, if we lose the midterms, it's over. It's 100% over. And
they're going to lose. I mean, the Republicans are absolute great at one thing, and that's sabotaging their own party. They don't want to win because once they give the power back to the Democrats, then we have 2022 all over again. We have 2020 all over again.
Yep.
Where the Republicans get to go and they get to hold their hearings, they get to hold their investigations, they get to hold their oversight hearings, and they get to talk real tough.
And it
then
goes
they get to go on
nowhere.
Fox News and get all of their campaign and talking points so that they can fundraise in the next election, but they don't actually do anything. Republicans don't actually want to be in charge. So why would we vote for a party
exactly
that has done nothing for
Well, and that's
us?
what we voted for. We got the House, the Senate, the President,
Twice.
everybody, and what's happening? I mean, it's just nothing is happening.
Did you see the the James O'Keefe video where he caught the high-ranking FBI guy talking about how no charges are going to be brought? He's like,
No,
yeah.
I seen the one with James O'Keefe where he exposed like some secretary in the FBI that was had a desk job and he got fired for that.
Yeah. But he was like, yeah, they're just going to kick the can down the road.
At a desk.
Yeah. We got about 20 seconds to break, but yeah, man, it's a shame that we're at this point in the world, but at least we have the opportunity in the internet to expose all this stuff and still get the information out. Because if we were living in China, we would be on a system where you don't access anything. So thank God we still have the internet. And with that, we'll be back after this break. See you in a second.
Noticed your money just doesn't stretch like it used to? Your paycheck feels lighter, and your savings aren't growing. The culprits? Inflation and increased money supply. They've both been quietly eating away at your purchasing power for years. Today, the dollar's value has dropped significantly. You feel it every time you spend money on goods and services. Back in 1965, $1 or an ounce of silver could buy you a gallon of milk. Fast forward to today. That same dollar barely buys a couple of coffee creamers, while an ounce of silver would get you 8 gallons of milk. Gold and silver have held their value for centuries. If you had 2,500 ounces of silver back in 1965, you could buy a brand new Ford Mustang. Today, 2,500 ounces of silver would buy you 2 Mustangs. Similarly, in the year 2000, 628 ounces of gold would buy a new $170,000 home. Today, 628 ounces would buy you a $2,500,000 home. The problem? 95% of Americans don't own physical gold or silver. They think it's too complicated and too expensive, but it doesn't have to be. We offer a membership program that allows you to buy gold or silver with as little as $1. You can buy fractional amounts, safely vault them, or have them delivered to your doorstep, and you can liquidate them whenever you want at the highest buyback price in the industry. Ready to protect your wealth and keep your purchasing power? Scan the QR code or go to tafw.soundmoney.com to learn more.
If the vote count is accurate, then how come the number of voters is different? And if it's not accurate, then why was it certified? We are suing Letitia James and the New York State Board of Elections for a conspiracy against fundamental rights. This is not about who won, it's not about what party, it's about the fact that they don't care about your rights.
Live from Studio 6B on a Friday night, live at the America First Warehouse. Live at the America First Warehouse on a Friday, Real America's Voice, all across the country, 103.9 LI News Radio, all across your radio, Suffolk County, Long Island. Glad you're in.
It's me, Joe the Box.
And I'm John the Blanket with the America First podcast.
That's what I'm talking about. The Fred Rubino podcast.
I'm James Justice. We got Stephen Ruth over here. What are we doing, Steve? Fighting!
Welcome to the Patriots podcast. Good evening, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the On the Right Side podcast here at the America First Warehouse.
Welcome to Liberty's Cage, the podcast tearing down the walls of America's broken justice system.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Downey Jr. podcast. Be free, stay free.
All right. We are back at the America First Warehouse, the most patriotic venue in all the land. Make sure everybody shares this out so we can fight these algorithms, shadow ban, and the censorship from all the major platforms because we are sick of it. So that's why we launched an app that you can find on Apple and Android. You're going to go find the America First Media and Television. America First Media and Television. Go download that app. You can find a lot of podcasts and all the venues and events we have here at the warehouse. And with that, let's get our guest back over here, Ryan Mata. Welcome back. All right. So where were we? We were talking about the trafficking and all this craziness.
Yeah, you had mentioned China there right at the end, and I'll just, so in the process of investigating child trafficking, I ended up getting an invite to come out and interview a gentleman over in Australia, and this guy specializes in doing DNA testing. So he goes into third world countries like the Philippines, where a lot of people travel to have sex with these underage girls. Well, they won't use condoms, they won't use protection. The girl's 12, 13, 14, they get her pregnant because they don't care. They're leaving the country. They paid to have their way with her. Well, there are no abortion laws over there. So the girls get pregnant, they end up having the kid. So a lot of these girls have children at 12, 13, 14. Well, as they turn into an adult, or as the kid actually becomes an adult, he just did it with one that would just turned 18. He's able to go and take their DNA now because of all of the Ancestry.com and all these DNA and Me databases. He's able to grab that data, upload their DNA, run it, and he tracks down the brothers, and he knows, well, he can get access to their travel logs and see if they were in the country, out of the country at that time, or ever visited the Philippines. And he's going back and he's busting these pedophiles that are, 18 years later, they're married, have kids, have a family. Wow. Come to find out, daddy's a pedophile, and, sometimes he's able to bring charges. Sometimes it's just as much as getting the child citizenship. So now all of a sudden, if the father was from America, the kid over there now has birthrights and has citizenship over here and get a U.S. passport. So there's a lot of loopholes, real cool things. But in the process, he told me that he's like, if you guys want to see the worst of humanity, you got to go into Madagascar. He's like, or the Philippines, but Madagascar is the absolute worst of the worst. They going rate to have sex with a child is 50 cents to $1.50. Oh. And so I went to before I ended up him, I went to Malaysia. I went to Thailand. In Thailand, one of my friends, his girlfriend had a girl that was from Tanzania, Africa. She came over to the apartment. She was in Thailand trying to get her sister back because her sister was in this network where all the girls were working as escorts on the street. So one of the older sisters came to try to get the younger sister to come home because the younger sister went over there on her own, didn't go in with the network, but the networks operate over there, and the girls back home told her how to do it, and she just did it on her own. Well, the other girl went out and started bringing girls back to my apartment to interview that were getting trafficked by the actual network, and they told me how these networks work, how they go into these third world countries and they get these girls. They pose as they have a good-looking girl. She's driving around in her Mercedes, nice car, nice purse, nice glasses, cell phone. And they go into these third world villages where these girls don't have anything. They don't have a pot to pee in. They can either go work in the cobalt mines for $1 a day, or they can go work at the local farmer's market where they have to walk 5 miles to get there. They have to carry 20 or 50 pounds worth of fruit or vegetables with them to get to the market. They sit there for 12 to 16 hours a day, and they come back with maybe $1 or $2. So this madam shows up at their village and says, hey, and they're looking for specifically 18-year-old girls that are willing to do this, because what they're going to do, they live in, and think about living in a third world country, pretty much up north with no internet, no cell phone. Your parents don't even have a cell phone, or if they do, it's just like a Nokia keypad phone, don't even have a screen on it that works, or no internet, never getting a driver's license, never getting any ID as a photo, never having your photo even taken as a child. And then this girl shows up with a phone, she's got money, and she tells you, hey, you can make $25 an hour being somebody's girlfriend for an hour, right? So to these girls, it's like, oh my gosh, we're getting the world. But in order to get to the world, the trafficker has to go and get all of your local documents from the government. They have to go and apply once they have your local ID and all your documents to get your passport. Then once they get your passport, then they got to apply to get your visa. Then they got to buy your plane ticket. Then they have to travel with you. Then they have to rent you a 1-bedroom loft for 7 days. Okay, so this is the deal. They sell packages. We'll get you your 1 month is $5,000, your 3 months is $8,000, and then a 1 year is $10,000. But to these girls, they think, well, $5,000 to them is like $1 million. So they all choose $5,000. None of them choose a $10,000 one. But they don't realize once they're in country, now they have to pay the trafficker to renew that visa. So it might cost you $50 to renew it, but the trafficker's tacking on $1,000 to do it. So once they get in the country, they're then forced out on the street every night at 7 p.m. to 4 a.m. And then at 4 a.m. when they catch an Uber ride home, their madam's waiting there, strip searching them, making sure they don't have any money hidden anywhere. And then they have to sleep with at least one guy a night, if not 2 guys, to pretty much break dead even. Because on a bad day, when they don't sleep with anybody, then they got to sleep with 2 people. So it's on average, it's 1 to 2 tonight is their mission. If they sleep with a 3rd person, then maybe they can keep a little extra money or maybe send something home. But even then, most of the time they have to hide that money from the trafficker because the trafficker is going to want to take it from them. Wow. So that's how they keep them in this cycle of abuse. And it's how almost all these trafficking operations work. And why when people talk about the Epstein files and they think that Epstein's the end all be all of the Epstein files, are so wrong because there is already 5 more Epsteins out there, and they've always been out there. They just haven't been as prominent as Epstein or as well connected or the finance or the money. But I guarantee you, whoever that other replacement of Epstein is, you know who they are. They are just as popular as Epstein. They're famous. They're somebody that we know. They're a politician. They are up and highly connected in very high, powerful positions in this government. And that's kind of just the whole story.
Yeah, and the island's still going. The island's still cranking out. They still got staff over there. There's still action.
And I think I want everybody to know, too, that Ryan's not talking out of his ass by just getting on phone calls or reading literature. This guy's out in the trenches. In order for him to put out what he has put out in these documentaries, I met him in 23 at CPAC. Then I met him again. We talked a few times. Met him again in Greenville at First America Film Outreach when he showed What is Treason. Isn't that it?
That's when I lost my YouTube channel that day.
Yeah. So when he showed that documentary, I thought, holy shit, Ryan has come such a long ways with what he knows. I'm thinking to myself, is that with J.J. Carroll, I believe?
Yeah, I didn't even know what the Speaker of the House was in 2023.
See, but for what he has done to make these vlogs and documentaries, he is boots on the ground. And I watched something earlier, and he's got balls to go across the river from Mexico to Guatemala. It's like, Ryan, how do you do it without being? I mean, I'd have been scared. I'm gonna tell you right now. But you do it. You get the information. You see it firsthand. You record it, and you've done an amazing job, dude. I'm proud of you, bro.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, when we're getting smuggled across the Mexico border into Guatemala by the cartels and water rafts, that was. I'm not really scared, but at the same time, it's number one, it's an adrenaline rush, right? And then 2, right on the other side of that river was a key piece of this big investigation that we're working on when it comes to, the facilitating of all these migrant children, because 452,121 migrant children ages 0 to 17 arrived at our border from 2021, about January of 2021 to October of 2024. 350,000 of them, well, actually, our government took physical possession of all 452,121. But 350,000 of them, they vetted the adult. They delivered that child to an adult. And then within 30 days, they couldn't locate the child or the adult that they delivered it to.
You know what I did when I watched you cross the river, not to interrupt, but I rewound it to see how long it took for you to get across that river. And it was just under 5 minutes.
Quick.
And so I started thinking how many people came across in just under 5 minutes.
Yeah, I was doing the same thing. I was out there counting. I'm like, there's 27. Just at the time I was looking out there, I believe it was like 27 different rafts. And a raft might have 2 people on it. It might have a pregnant woman and a motorcycle on it. It might have a car on it. I mean, they push cars across this river on these floating inner tubes. It's freaking wild. But in the process of that, I ended up, how do I do it? It's an adrenaline rush, and 2, you're working on a massive story. So it's like part of it is like, this one key piece that nobody else has uncovered, right? And it's not something that you're just going to make a phone call or interview a whistleblower and hear. It's something that you have to actually go into the trenches and experience and track down and hunt down. And those are the big key things that you uncover that one piece. I mean, it would have made 2 or 3 documentaries. It would have been one of the biggest stories. I'm still working on it.
Good.
But in the process of traveling, so I went to 22 countries in the last year and a half, roughly. It was actually almost over a year period. I did 20 countries. And in the process, going to Malaysia, to Thailand, to all over the country, to Australia, to France, to Spain, to Colombia, to Ecuador, to Guatemala, to Honduras, to El Salvador countless times, to 3 different places in Mexico. The one thing that I realized is when you leave America, like we're America, we think the greatest country and we're trapped in this bubble, right? If America's dollar is collapsing, people think the rest of the world's dollar is collapsing, which a lot of them are connected to it. But we feel like when we're going into a recession, the world's going into a recession, or if our government's rotted to the core and corrupt, that, you know, Jesus is coming back because America's fallen, right? Well, you go to these other countries and you realize it couldn't be farther from the truth. So, for example, over the last 100 years, or the last 50 years, we've overthrown 100 different governments. Every country that has a U.S. military base on it today, we basically went in there, carried out a regime change, installed a puppet government to do our bidding. And it's almost always, every single time I've ever seen one, it has always been at the expense of the people in that nation.
Yep.
The United States is never the good guy. We're never there to benefit you. We've carried out multiple genocides of our own throughout the years, and like really bad, like going in and just napalming villages and just burning countries and burning villages to the ground for no reason. Like so we're never the good guy. And the world's waking up and realizing that. And, you know, Joe Biden was selling classified documents to the CIA. I think we're all pretty confident of that, or to the CCP. You know, like what would be so valuable to give to the CCP? And I think that what Joe Biden was giving them, or somebody has given them, is all of the internal documents, the classified regime change operations that we've carried out over the years. Because I go into these countries. I went into Ethiopia, 3rd poorest country in the world. We've been giving them billions of dollars in foreign aid for the last basically 50 years. Every country, we've pretty much been giving at least hundreds of millions of dollars of foreign aid to, if not billions. 3rd poorest nation in the world, absolute. And I went to the 7th poorest, which was Madagascar, and I saw living conditions that were so abhorrent I didn't even know existed on this planet. So I could only imagine what they were like in Ethiopia. China goes in and puts an airport, largest airport in Africa and Ethiopia, 25,000 employees. They instantly propelled 25,000 of the poorest citizens in the world into the middle class by giving them a job and a fair wage. China did that. Every plane on that tarmac had a Chinese logo on the back of the Boeing 757s. Every engineer that you've seen that was working or building something new on the airport were all Chinese. All of the metals, all of the everything for that entire airport was bought by China. So China goes into a country, they say, yeah, we need to put a new airport in. Yeah. And America's like, cool, we'll give you $1 billion, but you got to vote for this in the UN and give Israel our vote.
Well, that's the
China
problem.
Comes in, oh, you got to wrap it up.
Yeah, we got about 5 seconds, but we're going to be back on the other side of this break with more information coming out. Let's go. We'll see you on the other side. Share this out.
Most people think they have options when searching for the best deals when they travel. But here's the shocking truth. 100% of the major travel agencies are owned by just 2 entities, Expedia and Booking Holdings. They claim to offer the lowest rates, but due to the hotel rate parity agreement, they all have the same pricing, limiting genuine competition. When you book through these sites, you act as your own travel agent, but the profits are going to organizations that don't support our patriot values. We cannot allow that to continue. So, we decided to make travel great again by starting a US-based travel membership platform, MyPatriotTravel.com. We are patriots helping patriots. Together, we can disrupt the travel industry by not spending our hard-earned dollars supporting the radical left. For just $29.99 per month, you gain access to true wholesale rates on travel, saving you on average 35% and up to 65%. Book as often as you like, with no limits. Keep your hard-earned dollars in your pocket and spend them on things you need and want to support. Go to mypatriottravel.com/TAFW and grab your membership today. mypatriottravel.com/TAFW. Making travel great again.
Are you a true American? Then it's time to get connected. Download the America First Media and Television app and stay up to date with real news, bold voices, and live events from the America First Warehouse. From national broadcasts and exclusive shows to comedy nights, concerts, and special events. It's all right at your fingertips. No filters, no spin, just America First. Download the America First Media and Television app today and be part of the movement.
I'm sure you guys remember the platinum single, Justice for All, with Donald Trump and the J6 Prison Choir. Well, get ready for round 2. We're we're coming out with Anthem of the Free with High Res and the J6 Prison Choir. It's coming out now. It's pre-sale until December 19th when it drops. Get yours on all platforms, Google Play, Apple iTunes. Get it. It's going to be hot.
Justice for all, our voices ring. The anthem of the free.
It's me, Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse, most patriotic venue in all the land.
The America First Warehouse, a beacon for all to see. A symbol of unity. For the patriots of America, we stand tall and free. In the America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
All right. We are back for the final segment of the Know Your Enemies podcast. We have our special guest, Ryan Mata. We got Gary McBride over here, and yours truly, James Justice. Let's go. So let's get back into this. Where were we at? China? We were talking about China.
Yeah, so I was just saying that, like China. So I went into Africa. China's built the world's largest airport. Every plane all has China logos on it. I go into the tarmac, the cement, the concrete, the construction workers, all coming from China, benefiting China. Then I go in, and then also, it's also the allegiance, right? Like, so if we went to war and say China got involved, Ethiopia is not coming to side with America, guys. I went into Africa and Tanzania. China went in there and they were building these Sam's Club, like their version of Walmart's, right? And I go in the store and every product in there is Chinese made. Even the managers of the store were from China. They had just opened it. You could tell that China was sending their people over. And all of the citizens in Africa love China. I went over in El Salvador. They built their super library in El Salvador. They're building a port the size of Singapore. So it's like I'm watching China going around the world, and they're pulling up all these countries out of poverty. And where I was just telling these guys in the break, right, when Trump left office in, I think, 2016, the United States, America, we consumed like 88% or 82% of the products that were made in China. Today, we only consume 12%. So China's brought all these other countries up out of poverty, and they all need the cheap shit that we needed, right? They all needed the dollar pencils and the cheap this and the crappy that, the IKEA this. So they're all now consuming all of those products that are, so it's China's like, when Trump's like, oh, we'll throw 100% tariff on you. And China's like, okay, we'll put 100% tariff on you. And it was like, what was it, 150, 160, 180, 200? I don't know how high it got before. It was just like, okay, we're not going to do the tariff thing. It's because we don't have the power that Trump thought we had, or the power that we actually did have in 2016. In 2016, Trump's tariffs were like a band hammer. I mean, he brought the world to a halt and made us billions and billions of dollars, and nobody had ever done that before. And we were like, wow, cool, yeah. But the world realized, like, oh shit, if Trump were to stay in power for another 4 years, China would have been hurt. A lot of these countries would have been hurt.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case. So they gave them, 4 years to kind of get their shit together, and they go, okay. And it's China, right? They don't have our bloated government. They have this communist party, and the government serves itself in this weird self-interest where it's like, we can change the policy here, but we can't change the president, but they can change the party, but the party can't change the policy. I forget the analogy between that one.
Yeah, and
like
that's where the big
really
threat with the BRICS alliance came in, where it was Brazil, Russia, India, Korea, South Korea, and China, that they all said, hey, you know what? If they want to keep messing with the petrodollar and oil and all that, you know what? We'll just switch over to the ruble. And that shook Trump up, man. When he got in, he was very, very worried about the whole BRICS agreement because they were going to go off the petrodollar. And once that happened, they go to the ruble. All of these countries that are relying on the petrodollar, where they have to trade their U.S. currency with their currency, it would have deemed the U.S. dollar useless, and all these countries would have just said, hey, we don't need U.S. dollars anymore. Here, take them back. And it would have made hyperinflation look like a joke, and we would have been Venezuela overnight.
It's what's happening right now. There's no stopping BRICS. They're already, Saudi Arabia already signed a 50-year deal with China to take oil in the end. So there's no going back to the U.S. dollar, which is why I believe that Venezuela was so important, right?
Yeah.
Because their currency is hyperinflated into oblivion. Now, if you can install a new government in Venezuela, it'll do exactly what El Salvador did, and it's adopt the U.S. dollar because your currency is so shit.
Yep.
The dollar is already dominant over there. It's an easy. So now all of a sudden you go from Venezuela being, one of the highest standards of living in the world in 2001.
Yep.
Right. By 2012, we drove them into economic bankruptcy and hyperinflation, into oblivion. So we did that to Venezuela. We caused their country to go down to hell. We destroyed their industries, and we did that at the expense of ourselves and a few friends. It's like the first shipments of Venezuelan oil. They didn't make it to America. They're over in Israel. Israel's receiving them.
Yep.
So it's just like we don't do anything on behalf of America or our citizens. It's always on behalf of a third world country.
Yep, and the whole excuse with that is because that's how they funnel the money, and that's how these politicians get rich and paid, because they go, oh yeah, we gotta support Ukraine, and then they're sending billions and billions and billions to Ukraine, and it's not even going to who they said it was. It's just getting recycled back through the shell companies and NGOs and
multiple pipelines.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's been a screw job ever since. It's the same thing as NASA. NASA has been a screw job for the American people, and they've been siphoning off hundreds of billions of dollars from us to funnel towards black projects where there's no receipts. So what the hell's going on, man? This is crazy. Enough is enough already. We need to hang all these treasonous people. All right, I don't care who's in these Epstein files. Connect the dots. Once we have the dots connected, hang these people on national TV in front of the world. Read out their crimes. This is what they did. Treason. Bang. Neck snaps. And we have that playing for about a year straight with all these crooked politicians and Satanists and Masons and all these other people that sold out the country taking blood oaths. And we string them up high and let them dry, and that's going to solve the problem we have in this country. But I don't think it's ever going to happen.
Well, Christians need to stop being so quiet and rise up.
The Christians are soft, man.
It's what we do here.
I don't know.
We'll see.
So, what do you got? What new projects you got working on over there? You got any new documentaries coming out?
No, I was just getting ready to go down to Texas to work on an Epstein documentary with Ian Carroll, but Ian ended up getting sick, and now I'm so booked out. I'm headed back down to El Salvador in about a week and a half. And I spend a majority of my time, 50% of my time roughly, in El Salvador. If it wasn't for my son, Pierre, that's when I come back is on my weekends and my weeks with him. So if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't come back here ever. I mean, if you go down to El Salvador, you step off the plane, and you feel what the American dream is like. It's absolutely thriving. Every single person, from the second you step off that plane, everybody is so excited to see you. They're so nice. They're in such a good mood. It doesn't matter if it's the person pumping your gas or the girl flipping your burgers at Wendy's. It's with a smile on their face because they're so excited for the opportunity. And every day, their life gets better because their government wakes up every day with one mindset. And it's not just the president. It's not just his cabinet. It's every member of the government, from the president all the way down to the Secretary of State, wakes up with one mission. How do we make life better for the citizens?
Yeah.
And he's done that. He cut off USAID, cut off the United States NGO funding mechanisms that were overthrowing his government, arrested the corrupt politicians, impeached the partial judges, built the mega prisons, put all the cartel members in it, and he turned El Salvador from the deadliest country in the world to the safest country in Latin America.
Yeah.
All we have to do is replicate the Blue Kelly standards state by state by state.
Yeah, exactly. And I was so impressed when he became the president and he called an executive branch meeting and he pulled everybody into one room and he told everybody flat out, he goes, I'm not going to be a president that was a good president but was surrounded by dirtbags. He goes, as of right now, everybody's under investigation. I don't care how high ranking you are. You're all under investigation. And dude,
including myself.
Yes. Yep.
Including myself.
Including myself. And when I heard him say that and I saw the room, all the highest brass generals that he had and all of his military branches, they all looked like a ghost took over him, bro. Just what happened?
People from his own party, too.
Yep.
And he created his own party, ran on it. That's the party that got him elected. And it was 3 of the individuals in there were stealing money or taking bribes or kickbacks or doing something. Right to prison, right to jail.
Yep, immediately.
And
accountability there.
It was like 3 presidents back. Bukele went for them. They fled. Some of them died. Some of them fled. Some of them vanished. There's been like 3 ex-presidents, like almost everybody, the political staff, the class in there. And there's a lot of really wealthy people in El Salvador, and they're not too happy that their cronies got ran out of town. That's the only people you'll meet in El Salvador that don't like Bukele, is the mega rich people in there who no longer can live, like kings in their towers above the peasants. The peasants are starting to come up. It's really cool.
And that's what we need worldwide. We were hoping that the movement that Trump sparked was going to cause this, right? We were going to see the arrest. If we don't see anything take place major before November, it's I don't know, man. I don't know, but the type of leadership we need is the same thing that what's his name, Milei in Argentina, was it Argentinian president? He with the chainsaw, the guy with the chainsaw with the wild hair.
Yeah.
Like he went in there and cleaned house. The president of El Salvador went in there and cleaned house. And that's the type of leadership that we need. That's going to have no reserves whatsoever, clean house, and charge everybody, lock them up. And that's going to fire up our country. But we're still waiting.
Gotta have
Millie just went in there and passed a bunch of laws. Their citizens are revolting right now. because they passed a bunch of laws that allow foreigners to come in, and then they're claiming that the Israelis came in there and burnt down half their country because they wouldn't sell them their land. And there's a big land grab, and a ton of Israeli investors coming in there to buy up all the land that they just burnt down pennies on the dollar. Chile, I believe, is trying to evict Israelis from their country right now. It's
Oh
just like
man,
these people
that's
have become a
anti-Semitic.
plague on our freaking nation, man. It's like I can't. Every road you lead down to leads to a corrupt politician bought off by AIPAC that's funneling our tax dollars overseas. Like our border was wide open because our politicians are bought off by AIPAC, and they forced the politicians to make those policy changes. They got those politicians elected, and those politicians destroyed our country.
Yep.
And when was Benjamin Netanyahu on the mic telling us to close our borders? I mean, he came over here and done 12 standing meetings, and he didn't come over here one time and say, hey, you guys should close your borders.
Yeah.
And that's supposed to be our greatest ally. I'm supposed to send my children off to die in some war for him.
Yeah, exactly. And their borders are extra tight and sealed, and ours are wide open. It doesn't make any sense. And did you see when he went to into Congress and how both Republicans and Democrats giving him standing ovations for like 5 minutes straight? Yeah. They don't stand up for nothing. The Democrats don't stand up for nothing. Not
they hold signs.
Not angel moms, not anything. They won't stand up for anything in this country that will bring us together. But Benjamin Netanyahu comes into the building, and everyone's, oh, my God, this guy, glock, 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 deep-throating him to no end, and it's disgusting. Disgusting. That guy needs to be charged with the international war crimes that multiple countries have arrest warrants out for. Turn his ass over, and, let's get on with this Second American Revolution.
That's right, baby. Our country is so far cooked, man. If we don't get our shit together immediately, and I'm not voting, so I'm done. I gave this Republican Party way too much of my time, way too much of my energy. I was out there campaigning. I was at Mar-a-Lago for the release of Police State. I was down in Nashville with Cash Patel to launch the Fight with Cash Foundation. Everything that you should do as a patriot. I gave up 4 years of my life because I felt like Trump got the bad shake. And then I watched this man come into office, and I watched him surround himself with a bunch of scumbag losers. We did all the work. We did all the vetting, excuse me. We told him. We knew who the scumbags were going to be, and he still picked these people, and he's endorsing people like Lindsey Graham and calling people like Thomas Massey the bad guy when Thomas Massey's done what? Like, he's got a better voting record. And if you talk about campaign promises, Massey's done more to keep Trump's campaign promises than Trump has himself. And you're going to fire MTG and at some point, we just got to stop lying to ourselves, man.
Yeah.
Like, I drank the MAGA Kool-Aid way too hard. It was a gosh damn lie. Trump can earn it back by all means. Arrest these pedophiles. Fire Pam Bondi.
Yep.
Fire Cash Patel. Tell us the truth about what happened to Charlie Kirk. We're not buying the lone shooter bullshit.
Exactly.
Quit spending our goddamn money. Quit spending our money over to frickin' Israel and these third world countries. Get your shit together, man, or you're going to lose it. And when you lose the midterms, there's no bringing back your legacy. Right?
Exactly.
Trump's legacy will be branded in all of eternity as the pedophile president. And the Epstein presidents, the Epstein cabinet, man.
Yeah, man. No more protection. And with that, we're going to close this podcast out. Thank you, Ryan, for coming on. We appreciate all your hard work. We're going to be in touch. And with that, that's the closing of episode 68 of the Know Your Enemies podcast. Oh, my God. We're flying through these things. So we'll see you on the other side. Stay vigilant. Share this out. Let's go. Thank you, everybody.
Know your enemies. America First Warehouse, a beacon for all to see, a symbol of hope, a symbol of unity. For the patriots of America, we stand tall and free.